Well, in today's video, we're going to explore if Bark River knives still create top-tier fixed blades. And we're going to do that in a few simple ways. First, I'm going to take you along for the ride to see the performance level of this Bravo 1.25 LT built out of Cru-Wear to see how it has performed for me, not only on several outdoor adventures as I've used it as my belt knife, but also testing it back here in the Blade Boot Camp. And second, by running in some excellent competitive options where we'll compare not only performance, value, but also fit and finish. I can tell you already, I'm finding some small inconsistencies on the fit and finish with this Bravo. So hang on guys, it's gonna be a wild ride as we unpack this Bark River. And if you're new to the channel, thanks for hanging with me today. I'm Aaron, this is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in. Right out of the gate, we're looking at a 5-inch overall blade length. And this LT edition means that it's got a thinner stock than the standard Bravo versions, coming in at 0.156 on my caliper, basically 5/32, which translates to a thinner overall stock, better for slicing, quicker in the hand, meaning that it's going to be 8.1 ounces and then 12.1 with the leather sheath we'll talk about a little bit later. And with that thickness, this profile and that blade length means that this thing is extremely capable. It's like a lightsaber when you activate and pull it out of the sheath and start working with it. And that's partly done in conjunction because of the convex edge. And if you've never used a convex edge, you are missing out because it cuts through material like a Viking ship through water on a raid. I mean, it is just like zoom, slices through it because it is ground in like the hull of a ship, rounded and contoured down to a very precise tip, meaning, or edge, precise edge, meaning that there's a lot of durability behind the edge, way stronger than like a full flat grind, but there's great precision at its pinnacle, at the end. And it doesn't have angles, it's rounded, unlike full flat or a saber ground knife. And so what that means is that you're getting excellent durability, but excellent precision cuts. It makes the experience when I took this out so enjoyable. It's just fun to use the tool. You know, when you have a knife that's like thick behind the edge and it just doesn't cut very well, it's not a fun experience. You're kind of let down. You're like, ugh, and you're like having to push hard and use more energy. This is just like touches whatever material, regardless if it's a huge honking piece of hemp rope, 7,000 pounds of toe strap material, zip ties, or just finesse and carving and woodworking and doing those type of activities. And this is able to go through it like just like butter, man. Just whoop. It's almost effortless to use this style of edge geometry in conjunction with stock thickness. So I was very impressed. Even with like chopping. Oh my gosh, dude. Okay, I am not putting any energy on that. Wow. Okay, that's really good. Real good. You're not gonna be Paul Bunyan with this blade falling giant trees and clearing a whole forest, but whatever light duty hacking that you need to do to shape wood or delimb some branches, because of the grind, it's not because of the weight, it's definitely because of the grind and just the stock thickness that allows you to do that. Now, what about the Cru-Wear Steel? Now, Cru-Wear is an air-hardened tool steel in the D2 family, but what I found after having used it on several different blades, including this one, it far and away surpasses D2, Sleipner, and those type of semi-stainless tool steels because it has better wear resistance, better toughness, and better hardness capability. So it is very impressive. I really like it a lot. This is Rockwell. Bark River says at 60 on the Rockwell scale. They state on their website that it's as tough as 3V. I would still, I don't know. I would say 3V is still tougher, but it will have better wear resistance and edge retention than 3V. So that means that it's a perfect steel choice to go with on a more compact blade like this, that you're not, trying to baton giant pieces of wood. You're not trying to chop down huge trees. It's a great steel for that. And before we jump back to one aspect of this blade that is kind of a mixed bag for me, I do want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, which is LA Police Gear. And they're running an insane deal right now on Merrell Moab 2 tactical waterproof boots, which are now on closeout and at a new low price. And this version comes not only in mid-top, but also in this 8-inch version that I've been using quite a bit lately as I've been trekking about in the winter conditions in Colorado with a side zipper. Perfect because it's not getting into my socks because of those high tops and their waterproof capability. That's great. And the waterproof leather in conjunction with the Select Dry membrane I've found have really been able to keep the moisture out and let my feet breathe so they don't get clammy. Through the years of different Moab designs that I've had, I've always appreciated the Vibram soles that they're built out of in conjunction with the high grip 5mm lugs that just grab on to whatever terrain I'm trekking through. So these are in stock and in black with tons of sizes to choose from currently, but these are on closeout, so when they're gone, they're gone. So I encourage you guys to check out the link in the description box below this video over to the LA Police Gear website, where you can explore all the features and decide on which design makes more sense for you. And I'll also include my exclusive 10% off promo code you can apply towards your purchase year-round. Now, I really appreciate you guys because you have made this particular video really special, because this is a crowd voted review. And what do I mean by that? Well, just recently we were able to land a partnership with DLT Trading, which is an amazing resource and distributor for outdoor equipment, blades, and gear. And I've purchased many pieces of equipment through them throughout the years, and now they are part of our affiliate network. What does that mean for you? Well, if you use a link in the description box below any of my videos, it'll take you over to their website, and I'll get a small commission from every sale that is generated through one of those links. It's a simple way for you to help support the channel, and now they're part of our network. And so to celebrate that new partnership, I offered 3 blade designs that DLT Trading carries, one being a Battle Horse, another one being LT Wright, and then finally this Bark River Bravo for you guys to vote on. 3,200 of you voted, and this Bark River won that vote by about 3% points. So I went over, purchased this, and now have been using it for the last month or so to give you guys this full review. So it's just a cool, fun way for you guys to participate. Let me know what pieces of gear and equipment you want to see tested out here at the channel, and we'll be doing more crowd voted reviews in the coming months and years. Now, there's one aspect to this Bark River that's kind of a mixed bag, and ultimately I'd kind of prefer something different. Talking about the leather sheath that comes standard with this. Now, this is the untreated version. You can pay a little bit extra and you can get it waterproofed. The leather is excellent quality. I mean, I have 0 complaints with like the materials and the stitching and all of that. You can see a really good like pancake style with stitching, eyelets throughout that you could run paracord through and lash to an LBE system. Really well done. The tension is phenomenal. I mean, it's not coming out. It is ambidextrous. You're gonna have a very hard time finding too many leather ambidextrous sheaths, so I mean, that's great. Then on the back there, you're not only gonna get high ride, low ride, but also you could run it scout style. So in theory, they've really like thought through everything. Now, a few things that start to rear their ugly head for me and how I use leather sheaths is, one, this is kind of a narrow slit and it's very tough. So to get a thick leather belt through there is gonna be very challenging for you. I just wish that this was like cut slightly larger, differently, and it would just be a lot easier to get on and off of your belt. Second is the tension. Though excellent for not falling out of your onto the ground, it is really difficult to pull out, push back in, and because you're pushing so hard, it's not only like really, you know, tugging on your belt, but I'm always concerned I'm gonna like punch through the side of the leather because of the amount of friction. Now, over time, it'll wear in a little bit, but ultimately you're gonna probably have to do some form of like wet molding. You know, let it soak for an hour and then, you know, form it how you want to. I've seen some guys who are like, oh yeah, just like, you know, they're like sitting there like rubbing it with mink oil for like days. So you really need to kind of figure out how to like get a shelf so it kind of sits in there and there just isn't as much friction on the initial seating process. So it just isn't ideal for me and how I like to carry this style of knife if I'm using a leather sheath. Now, what about the handle, which has some amazing highlights that I absolutely love, but it is also the area where I did find some fit and finish issues, which is best suited to be done here on the tabletop, where I can run in some competitive options and really get into the details of the handle and its competitors. Now, what makes this handle just awesome is the dimensions. This is really well dimensionally laid out, being where you would actually grab the knife from guard to bird beak, 4.1 inches overall length, which means that it fills out my large size hands with plenty of real estate. Look at how much real estate is out the back there. I'm right up on that guard, easily able to control the tool, and then I can back up, get those nice wrist flicks. And that, because it's all rounded, no sharp angles, nothing abrupt, very comfortable. You can hold it in every direction. Now this is where it really starts to sing, and this is where more knife companies need to take note. It's so good when you see this. Dimensions on the girth, 0.97, almost an inch thick at its maximum thickness. Now, a lot of knives taper. This one does a little to like 8.1, 8 on the tapering right there near the neck. And if we go to the narrowest part of the neck, we're looking at 0.88. That is massive. That is so good. I love it. I love it. I love it. That means that this is going to fill out the hand. Your finger's not going to float, and it's just so ergonomic. So that in itself is a huge highlight and a big standout point to me of this Bravo series. Now, something to note, this is green micarta, very high polish. It is ice, ice, baby. It is so slick. So that is something to be aware of. For general utility, no problem. The guard really locks you in for all your woodscraft. And even when I was doing stabbing, like using the ice pick grip, I'm really locked in. I wasn't concerned about sliding up on the blade. But if you are looking at this as like a potential belt knife to use on deployment as a field knife, I would get the ramped version, because that one has jimping and a ramp. That'll just give you a lot more extra traction for stabbing and slashing, that this may not have quite the grip you are looking for. So just keep that in this consideration. Those versions are also available. But for general utility, some quick stabs as well as woodworking, totally gets the job done. Those pins are awesome and didn't have any shifting with all the back pounding on and beating and chopping that I did. So the scales have been really like secure. So that's awesome. So just something to be aware of. Now to the one little nuance and issue that I discovered. It has to do all right up here at the guard. It's all about the guard. Because these are hand finished in Michigan, means that there's a guy on a sanding wheel and then on a buffing wheel doing stuff, and there may be some like, whoop, I missed that, oop, I screwed that up a little bit, and that happened on mine. So what happened was right here, it started out wide on the grind and then it narrowed itself out so it wasn't hit evenly right here. And you know, that's not the end of the world. See that sometimes. Then what ended up happening, what I saw was a little bit more noticeable, is that when you look at the top of the scales, they are symmetrical and perfect. But when you swing around, you can notice that this scale drops a lot quicker. And so there's a little bit more metal being exposed down here near the guard on this scale. And there's not as much because it was a more gradual sweep on this side, leaving this very slight metal lip exposed right there about 1 millimeter. Now I can hit that with a piece of sandpaper and just kind of like rub it out basically without much difficulty. But that is something to be aware of, that may happen. It reminds me a lot of the recently reviewed Hella knife that we did a review on, also finished by hand, beautiful curly birch handle, but the shoulders are not perfectly symmetrical because somebody is working in this on a wheel and on a belt sander. And there's little nuances that are not perfectly symmetrical, and each scale or handle will be different than the last for that reason. So for some of you, maybe like, yeah, not a big deal, whatever. For people who are either OCD or you want perfection because of the amount of money you're throwing down, I understand that may be a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. Because I mean, I paid $300 for this blade over at DLT Trading, and I'll have links in the description box below for this model, as well as some of the competitive options I'm about to run in. So for somebody who's throwing down that much money, maybe they saved up for 3 years and they finally bought a Bark River, or you know, they're gifting this for like a retirement gift or anniversary or first hunting trip, something like that. And you know, you see these little nuances that I understand how some people may get frustrated. For someone, again, who's looking at it as like top tier pinnacle, I get that. And just to give us some perspective and pricing real fast, you can find the A2 like micarta and G10s for like $260. They'll be as low as that. If you start getting like Cru-Wear, CPM 3V, and then you start getting crazy handle scales, again, they can go like $400, $500 sometimes, depending on what you get. So maybe you like everything you're seeing, but you want something that's a little bit more inexpensive. Here's a great option. The BRISA Knives Trooper 115. Done a lot of content around this knife. It's a great knife, made in Finland. You can see how similar the micarta, pinned in, all that. This is running 80 CRV2 steel, which is a great steel in its own right, nowhere near as capable as Cru-Wear, so that's something to consider. It's a Scandi grind with a modified edge, so that's different as well. 9-degree spine though, it's a little bit smaller, but red liners, great pinned in stuff, leather sheath, about $160, so like half the price. And if we look here near the guard, which is, I'm assuming, finished by hand, that is more symmetrical right there. And the shoulders, which have a grind here and then a grind here, are perfect. I can't see any weird nuances, like one was ground in more than the other. So if you were to ask me between the two, who has a better fit and finish, I would say the BRISA, even though every other aspect of the Bark River is fine. All the rest of the handle's fine. The grind angles are fine everywhere else. It is, you know, a data point to be aware of. Then, just for another food for thought here real fast, here is the LIONSTEEL T6, massively large, Italian-made, midway survival knife. Video on this, epic. CPM 3B steel, canoed micarta, excellent Kydex sheath, $250 to $300, so very similar in the same price range. And again, just perfection on the grinds and, you know, edges and milling and all that, perfection. So just want to run that in for some food for thought. And that really brings it to a wrap, is that when we look at this Bark River, when I first started 10 years ago making content, Bark River was one of the top tier American made companies. And for me, on the performance side, it is absolutely a top tier blade, this knife. It's because of the convex, because of the Cru-Wear, and because of the great handle ergonomics, this is going to be regularly used in my kits. It is going to be a high performer and going to be running as a competitive option for many, many years to come. It's a great blade. It's really going to come down to all these awesome competitive options now that people have choices where they maybe didn't a decade and a half ago. So that's something to just be aware of to determine whether or not this Bark River makes sense, or if there's just better options for you that fit either the niche or style or whatever you're looking for. So that's me and my mileage, guys. Your mileage may vary. I look forward to hearing your thoughts, your take on the Bravo series, particularly if you own one. How's it been performing for you? Leave questions and comments. Check out the other video popping up. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.